My name's TorqTronics too. I'd like to come to work for you and help you with your error proofing, your quality challenges, and help you cut your costs. I'm sure you hear that from a lot of tools, but how many of them can really deliver? If it's okay with you, let me give you a quick summary of who I am so you have a better understanding of what I can do for you. During startup mode, I tell you my name, my capacity, my serial number, the last time I was calibrated, and when I'm due to be calibrated again. My job's to error-proof your error proofing. Do you want to verify your torque tools with an out-of-date verification unit? I don't think so, but hey, that's just the way I'm built. And yes, I have all the capabilities to test in 4 modes and 3 different scales for units of measure, and with 6 buttons and 2 arrows you can completely control me. I don't want to talk about that right now because I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about what I can do for you. Once you see what I can do for you, you'll get that I have all the capabilities that are needed to more than handle the job. And if you're really interested, there are some other videos floating around about me that you can watch. I'm here for one reason. I want to help you error-proof your error proofing. If that sounds a little bit like double talk, hang with me. You'll see what I mean. If you're already verifying your torque tools on a daily basis, you're well on the way to error proofing. But the truth is, you're only halfway there. That's why I'm here to cover the other half for you. So how do I manage to error-proof your error proofing? The only way you can tell if a torque wrench is out of spec is to verify it. You know that even nearly indestructible torque wrenches can be taken out of spec very quickly by being dropped, abused, pulled over capacity, used as a hammer, or the release of some frustration out in an assembly cell. I know this because I see those wrenches when they come to me for verification. Tell when a torque wrench has been knocked out of spec just by looking at it, because there's nothing there that tells you that. And this is where I've really got you covered. This is where I'm truly different than the other units that are hanging around your tool crib. This is where I can save you money and pull your bacon out of the fire. Just like there's nothing on a torque wrench that'll tell you when it's out of spec, the same has been true for torque verification and calibration equipment. There's nothing there that tells you that the unit could be out of spec. That is, until now. Well, I do tell you. And if I could have been knocked out of spec, I tell you that. And I tell you and your workers, and I do it in a couple of different ways. Not only that, but I have your back even when you're not looking. My engineers took a look at the torque tool verification process and said, where can the wheels fall off? And then they gave me the ability to plug those gaps to make sure the wheels don't fall off like they could if someone else was in my place. So how do I do it? Well, I have an LED that flashes red whenever I'm pulled to 120% or more of my rated capacity. Pulling me to 110% or even 119% of my rated capacity, I can take it. I don't like it, but I can take it. They didn't put me through 50,000 cycles of testing in both directions at 100% of capacity for nothing. I come from a long line of reliable, durable torque verification units. That's just my DNA. When you're built by the company that invented and patented the first torque analyzers, the first torque testers, and have a lot of other firsts in the industry, you get the good DNA. You've probably never had an employee over-torque a verification unit and then try to cover it up or ignore it. Well, my red LED keeps flashing until the power's turned off. I mean, who wouldn't? But when the power comes back on, my LED flashes again. Top line of my display, I call out OV 120% of capacity. So I've got the red light flashing, I've got the top line of the display telling you what to do. I'm trying hard to get your attention, but I do even more. And even though I've been stretched, I keep working because that's how I'm built. But I do make a couple of changes. First of all, I lose track mode. And that's another way of me telling you, hey, look over here, something else could be wrong. Plus, I no longer provide you with the OKNG designation in the lower left-hand corner of my VFD when you're testing. And if you take a look at my reports, after I've been stretched over capacity, I tag every record with OVL instead of the test result. And I do that until my flag is reset. If you've got a problem, I want you to be able to trace it as fast as possible and make the fixes before your product gets too far down the line. You can count on me for reliability and accuracy. Remember when I said my buttons can be used to turn the memory on and off? Well, I've got that error proofed as well. What if my memory was on and I was stretched to 120% of my capacity? Only my memory function records the event with all the test information and a date and timestamp. And if I'm turned off, that's the first thing that comes up. And I tell you exactly what happened. How far over was I pulled, date and time. Of course, my red LED starts flashing again. Well, since my memory can be erased, what would happen if a worker tried to erase that particular event? We error-proofed that with two things. First, once in overload mode, erasing the memory will not work until the supervisor clears the overload flag by connecting me with a hyperterminal program and using 2 keystrokes to clear the flag. If the supervisor hasn't cleared the flag and the worker tries to erase any of the memory so he can get the red light to stop blinking, my display says, "See, supervisor, we make every effort to help your workers do the right thing." So what if the memory was off and someone stretched me to 120% of capacity? Then what? I store overload information in my elephant memory compartment. Even if my primary memory is off. Well, why do I call it the elephant memory? Because that memory never forgets. Never. If your worker tells you something, I know you trust them. But I like to say trust but verify. My elephant memory does that very well. By now you must be wondering how that LED that flashes all the time gets turned off. After all, you run a torque verification program, not a disco. The supervisor hooks me up to the hyperterminal program and uses those 2 keystrokes to reset my flag. I return to normal. All 4 modes work again. I stop the OVL designation in the reporting. Top line of my display no longer says OV 120% of capacity. Life is good. I think you can see how different I am than any other unit of my kind. This is why I say if you aren't verifying your torque verification units, how can you be certain you're not repeating the very errors you're working so hard to avoid? After all, who did you want to discover your error? You or your customer? Now, I'm not asking you to hire me right away. So the thing to do is contact your distributor or your Sturtevant Richmond man. They can tell you a lot more than I can. Error proofing's my passion, and that's why I want to help you error proof your error proofing processes. It's that simple. A unit like me completes the cycle, gives you the peace of mind that you really need. Can you trust a torque verification unit that doesn't tell you it's been stretched beyond capacity to the point where it makes sense to pull them out of the game and have them checked? Get me into your plant. Call your Sturtevant Richmond salesperson or your Sturtevant Richmond distributor. Do it today. I come from the company who invented torque testers and most of the torque tools in the industry. And when Sturtevant Richmond says your quality is our business, they aren't kidding. But what they're really trying to tell you is that your quality is our way of life. So hey, call me. Let's get together.